Well, hey guys, I've had the opportunity last weekend and this past last night to spend some time alone and to spend some private time, and it's been really good for me. And I can tell you that I'm really serious when I say that I would not neglect spending that private time and getting that time to yourself. It's super important. Every single time I ever find private time, I find myself just getting downloads of revelation and just so much understanding, things that just rock me. Today, on my drive to work, I had a pretty cool revelation, kind of revelation of the day, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. So, I'm going to call this revelation Greater Than a Lake of Hate. So I was thinking about, on my drive, I was thinking about the lake of fire. And for some reason it hit me that it's called a lake. And I've been reading in the Old Testament, and in the Old Testament, when Solomon was building the temple, he built this giant basin that was meant for the holy priests to bathe themselves in it. And they bathed themselves in this giant basin. It was like 7.5 feet deep and like 45 feet wide. It was huge. It was just a giant, giant thing. And they bathed themselves in it to purify themselves. And it was called the sea. We know that in the book of Hebrews it says that everything that was in the temple that God gave was a reflection of what was in heaven. And in the book of Revelation, John saw what he called the sea of glass. The sea of glass stood before the throne, and the people, the saints, were standing next to the sea, and they were the ones who had overcome the beast and his number and the evil of the world. And they were by the sea. So I read in Psalms, and so in the book of Psalms, I'm going to look at these verses real quick here. Psalms 139:17 says this: "How precious to me are your thoughts, God! How vast is the sum of them." Ephesians 2, 3, and 4. So we know, first of all, in that Psalms that there is a vast amount of thoughts God has for us and love God has for us. David talks all the time about God's love being everlasting. Ephesians 2, 3 through 4 and 7 says, all of us need to live that way, all of us used to live that way, following the passionate desires and inclinations of our sinful nature. By our very nature, we are subject to God's anger, just like everyone else. But God is so rich in mercy, and He loved us so much that God can point us to... But God is so rich in mercy, and He loved us so much, so God can point to us in all future ages as examples of the incredible wealth of His grace and kindness toward us, and shown in all He has done for us who are united with Christ Jesus. So a wealth of grace and kindness. Romans 5:20. The law was brought so that the trespass might increase, meaning that in Romans 5:20 says the law was made so that sin might increase, trespass might increase. But where sin increased, grace increased all the more. So in Revelation 15:2, this is where he talked about the sea of glass. And I saw what looked like a sea of glass glowing with fire, and standing beside the sea those who had been victorious over the beast and its image, and over the number of its name. They held harps given them by God. Psalms 36:5. Your unfailing love, O Lord, is as vast as the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches beyond the clouds. 2 Chronicles 4:1 through 2. This is where the sea. So Solomon made a bronze altar 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, 15 feet high. And then he cast a great round basin 15 feet across from rim to rim called the sea. It was 7.5 feet deep and about 45 feet in circumference. 2 Chronicles 4:6. He also made 10 pillar basins for washing the utensils of the burnt offerings. And he set 5 of them on the south and 5 on the north. But the priests washed themselves in the sea. So the revelation that I had for today to be encouraged. Think about this. The wrath of God is called the lake of fire. But God's love is unfailing. It's vast. His thoughts are toward us. His love is vast, is as great as the heavens. Where the priests wash themselves is called the sea. Standing at the throne is called the sea. And those that are standing by the sea are those who are victorious. The Revelation, I can't help but think, a sea is bigger than a lake. God's love, His grace, His forgiveness, His kindness, His mercy, patience, long-suffering is much bigger than His wrath. So today, choose you this day which you will choose. I choose, and I just suggest we choose the one that's more abundant, because it's ours to take, and it's way more abundant than the other. Be blessed.